My dear friend, let me sit with you for a moment. I want to speak to you the way a grandmother speaks to someone she trusts. I want to share my heart with you. I want to help you avoid the mistakes that I made. I want you to feel close to me, like we are sitting across the table in a warm kitchen on a quiet morning. My friend, life can surprise you in ways you never expect. Sometimes the people you love the most can hurt you the deepest. Sometimes family relationships can break in one single moment, like a plate dropping on the floor. And when it breaks, you stand there and ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why did this happen to me? How do I fix it? That is why I am telling you this story, because I made mistakes, big mistakes, painful mistakes, and I do not want you to make them too. Let me ask you something, my friend. If it was you, what would you do? What would you do if your own child, the one you raised with love and sacrifice, turned around one day and called you stupid? What would you do if the person you trusted the most used your trust against you? These questions still sit in my heart like heavy stones. I wish someone warned me when I was younger. I wish someone told me to be careful with my retirement planning. I wish someone told me that love is important, but wisdom is also important. I wish someone said, hold on to your power because one day you may need it. But no one warned me. So now, my friend, I am warning you. Let me tell you what happened. Let me open the door to my story. I trusted too much. Why did I trust so much? Because I believed that family always stays loyal. I believed a mother should help her son build a good life. I believed that if I gave everything, love would come back to me. That is how I was raised in the old days in a small town in the United States, in a quiet place where everybody knew everybody. But life is different now. People change. Families change. Times change. Back then, I thought my son was still the kind boy who helped me carry groceries when he was little. I thought he was still the boy who hugged me when he scraped his knee. I thought he was still the boy who used to say, "Mama, I will take care of you when you get old." I did not see the man he had become. I did not see how money had changed him. I did not see how his wife had taken control of his heart. And I did not see the danger when I made the choice that changed everything. I transferred everything to my son. The house, the land, the small savings I had from years of working double shifts. Every piece of security I had left for my old age. My friend, let me tell you something painful but true. When you give someone all your power, you give them the power to hurt you. And they did. I will not say his name yet. You will learn it later. For now, just picture a grown man standing in a kitchen in a quiet American suburb. A man with a face that looks familiar but cold. A man who used to be a gentle boy, but now stands tall with a hardness in his eyes that you do not understand. That day, he raised his voice at me. That day, he said the word that cut through my heart like a knife. Stupid. My friend, when your own child calls you that, it feels like the world stops for a moment. It feels like your breath freezes. It feels like the walls move farther away. It feels like you are no longer inside your own life. I stood there, holding a dish towel, looking at him, wondering how we reached this place. Wondering when he stopped seeing me as his mother. Wondering when I became nothing more than a burden. I asked myself, why did he change? Was it the money? Was it his marriage? Was it something I failed to teach him? Was it all my fault? But the answer was not clear. Not yet. The truth was still hiding behind closed doors. And one person held the key. I will tell you her name later, too. But let me tell you this about her. She was quiet at first, gentle, soft-spoken, someone you think is kind, someone who smiles politely, someone who seems harmless. But sometimes, my friend, the quiet ones hide the loudest secrets. She had a way of standing behind my son and whispering in his ear, a way of making him question everything I said, a way of shaking her head slowly, like I was an old fool who did not understand the world. I did not know it then, but she was the one who pushed for the papers. She was the one who convinced him that everything should be in his name. She was the one who told him that older people should step aside. And she was the one who planned what happened next. My friend, have you ever felt someone smiling at you while slowly taking your life apart piece by piece? That was her. But I did not see the danger. Not yet. And that is why everything went wrong. My friend, please listen. I want to help you avoid this pain. I want you to think before you sign anything. I want you to protect your future. I want you to keep your dignity. I want you to hold on to your peace. Ask yourself, what would I do if my family changed like this? What would I do if the person I trusted betrayed me? Am I giving too much? Am I losing myself? Your answers matter more than you know. You might think that the worst part was my son calling me stupid. But no, that was only the beginning. Before that day ended, something else happened. Something bigger. Something that showed me the truth I did not want to see. I was standing in the hallway, and I heard a voice behind the closed door of the living room. It was my daughter-in-law. Her voice was low but sharp, and she said something that made my knees tremble. My friend, as soon as I heard those words, I knew everything was about to fall apart. I am going to tell you exactly what she said. Every word. But not yet. You must hear it in the next chapter. Because once you hear it, you will understand everything. You will understand the betrayal. You will understand the fear. You will understand why my heart broke that night. My friend, before I tell you what she said, let me ask you. Please subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. Like this story if it touched your heart. Leave a comment and tell me what you think so far. Tell me which part of the country you are watching from. I want to know where my friends are listening from tonight. As I stood there, my hand pressed against the cool wooden door, I heard her whisper the words that changed everything. Words that explained why my son called me stupid. Words that explained why she wanted everything in his name. Words that showed me the truth I was too blind to see. My friend, those words are the reason my life fell apart. My dear friend, thank you for staying with me. You are still here, and that means a lot to me. When a person listens to your story with an open heart, it feels like you are not alone anymore. It feels like you have someone walking beside you. And right now, I need that. My friend, I left you standing with me in that hallway. I left you right in front of that wooden door. I left you hearing the voice of my daughter-in-law whispering something I was never meant to hear. And now, let me tell you everything. Her voice was smooth, too smooth. A voice that hides things behind soft tones. She said, "She is old. She does not need anything. Once it is all in your name, she can be moved out." Moved out. Those two words hit me like a bucket of cold water. Moved out. From the house I built with my own hands. Moved out. From the home where I raised my son. Moved out. Like I was nothing. Like I was a piece of old furniture. Like my life no longer mattered. My friend, have you ever felt your heart fall straight to your feet? That is what it felt like. I stood there, holding my breath, scared she would hear me. My knees were shaking. My hands were trembling. And inside my chest, something heavy cracked open. I wanted to run, but I also wanted to know more. So I stayed still. I listened. And then she said something even worse. Once she is gone, we can sell everything. We need the money. Your mother had her time. Now it is our turn. My friend, I felt the floor tilt beneath me. Now you may be asking yourself, why did this happen? Why would a son allow such words in his home? Why would he let his wife speak about his mother like that? Let me tell you why. Because I gave him everything. Because I trusted him with all my heart. Because I believed love was enough to protect me. Because I thought he would never change. But my friend, here is a lesson I want you to take from my pain. When someone holds all the power, their true heart comes out. And sometimes the heart you trusted is no longer the same heart. That is why I tell you this story. I want you to understand something important. Do not assume someone will protect you simply because they share your blood. Family relationships are not only made of love. They are made of choices. And sometimes, people choose themselves. Then I heard another voice. His voice. My son. But he did not defend me. He did not protect me. He did not say, "Do not talk about my mother like that." He said nothing. Absolute silence. Silence can be louder than shouting. Silence can cut deeper than knives. Silence can show the truth you were too blind to see. My friend, that silence told me everything. It told me he agreed. It told me he wanted me gone. It told me my place in his life had changed. It told me I was standing on the outside of my own family. I closed my eyes. I felt tears rise, but I refused to let them fall. Not yet. Not in front of them. I took a step back. My heart felt heavy, like a door closing inside me. And I whispered to myself, "What have I done?" My friend, here is where the hard lesson begins. This is the moment that changed me. This is the moment I realized why everything went wrong, why the respect was gone, why my son changed, why my daughter-in-law acted bold, why they felt free to push me aside. Because I gave them the wrong kind of trust. I trusted them because of the past, but they were living in the present. A present where money spoke louder than family. A present where control mattered more than kindness. A present where they saw my age as weakness. My friend, please hear me. Do not make decisions based on old memories. Make decisions based on who people are today. I want you to ask yourself, are you planning your retirement with wisdom? Are you protecting your home? Are you giving away things you might need later? Are you trusting someone who has changed? I want you to think with your heart, yes, but also with your mind. You deserve safety. You deserve peace. You deserve a future where you still have control. Do not give it all away like I did. Something inside me wanted to burst into that room. I wanted to face them both. I wanted to shout, "Is this what I raised? Is this who you have become?" But another voice inside me, a quieter voice, told me to wait. Not every battle should be fought in anger. Not every truth should be revealed too fast. Sometimes you need to step back and understand the game before you move. So I did not open the door. I walked away. Slowly. Quietly. Like a ghost inside my own home. Each step felt heavy. Each breath felt sharp. Each thought felt like a storm. And I knew. My life was about to change. That night I barely slept. I lay in my small bedroom, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of the house that was no longer mine. Every creak felt different. Every shadow seemed unfriendly. Every memory inside those walls felt like it was slipping away. My friend, have you ever felt like your life was moving forward without you? That is what it felt like. Something was coming. Something big. Something I could feel but could not name. But I would soon find out. Because the very next morning, my daughter-in-law did something that showed me exactly how far she was willing to go. And it was worse than her whisper. Much worse. My friend. The next morning, she placed a paper on the kitchen table. A paper that carried her plan. A paper that carried my future. A paper that carried the next betrayal. And when I picked it up, my hands started shaking so hard. I almost dropped it. My dear friend, thank you for staying here with me still. I feel stronger knowing you are here with me. Let me be with you again, like two people sharing morning coffee in a quiet kitchen. This is where everything hard for me, but I promise to tell you everything with honesty and warmth. My friend, this is where the story turns darker. The sun had not fully risen yet. The kitchen was quiet. The house felt cold in a way it never felt before. I walked in slowly, feeling every tired bone in my body. I held onto the chair for balance. The night before still sat heavy in my chest. And then, I saw it. A paper. Right in the center of the table. Folded perfectly. Too perfectly. I knew it was not a friendly note. I knew it was not a simple reminder. I felt the warning in my bones. It was placed there with purpose. My friend, have you ever seen something before opening it and felt your soul whisper? This is not good. That is what I felt. She walked into the kitchen with slow steps. Her hair perfect. Her smile soft but sharp. A smile that feels like a blade wrapped in silk. She looked at the paper. Then she looked at me. Her eyes held something cold. She said in a calm voice, "You should read it. It is for your future." My future. Imagine hearing that from someone who wants you gone. But I picked it up. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is face the truth even when it hurts. I opened the paper. My hands trembled. And then, I saw the words that tore the ground from under me. It was not a letter. It was not a note. It was a retirement home placement form. Already filled out. Already signed by her. All it needed was my signature. The place was called Golden Valley Living Center, far from my town, far from my friends, far from the memories of my life. My name was typed at the top. My birthday. My medical details. Things she should not have touched. Things she had no right to fill in. And at the bottom, a space for me to sign away my life. My dear friend. My knees almost buckled. I looked at her, confused and hurt, and whispered, "Why would you do this?" She just tilted her head and said, "You said you wanted to rest. You are old now. You do not need this house. We need space. This is best for everyone." Best for everyone. Or best for her. Her words were like ice pressed against my heart. No warmth. No kindness. No respect. And in that moment, I understood everything. Why she pushed my son. Why she wanted everything transferred. Why she whispered behind the door. Why she wanted me out. She wanted control. She wanted power. She wanted the life I built. My friend, this is the painful truth. Some people do not break your heart. They drain it slowly until you feel empty. Then I heard footsteps. Heavy ones. My son walked in, straight-backed, face hard. He did not sound like the boy I raised. He did not sound like the man who once hugged me when life was heavy. He looked at the paper in my hands and said, "It is time, Mom. You cannot take care of yourself like before. This is the right step." The right step. For who? For him. For her. For their plans. Not for me. I asked him, with a voice I barely recognized, "Do you really want me gone?" He rolled his eyes slightly. Just a little. But I saw it. A tiny movement. A giant message. His answer was short. Cold. We need our own life now. My friend. My heart felt like it cracked into small pieces. Let me pause here, my friend. Let me speak to you from my soul. This is the lesson. Never give someone the pen that writes your future. Never sign away your safety. Never trust blindly when money or property is involved. Never assume love will protect you. People chain. Hearts chain. Loyalty shifts. Control grows. And sometimes the ones you love the most can make your biggest mistakes feel like your biggest surprises. I want you to remember this. Love your family, but protect yourself. I took a long breath. My hands still shaking. My heart still raw. But I looked them both in the eyes. And for the first time in a long time, I decided not to be silent. I said in a calm, steady voice, "I'm not signing this." My daughter-in-law's smile faded like a shadow fading from sunlight. Her eyes narrowed. Her jaw tightened. My son looked confused, almost annoyed. But I kept talking, because something inside me woke up. A small spark. A tiny flame. A voice that said, "You matter, you are not done." I looked down at the paper again. Then I folded it. Slow. Steady. And I placed it back on the table. I whispered, "I am not leaving my home." They did not expect that. They thought I would be quiet. Weak. Afraid. But my no shook the air. My daughter-in-law stepped forward and said, "You do not have a choice." My friend. Those words were the spark. That lit the fire inside me. Because yes, I did have a choice. And I was about to make a decision. That would change the direction of my story. A decision that would surprise them. A decision that would protect me. A decision that would reveal the truth, hidden inside my son's heart. As they stood in front of me, angry and shocked, my mind made a plan. A quiet plan. A strong plan. A plan that would change everything. My friend, you need to hear what I decided. Because that decision is where my strength began. After I refused to sign the paper, the kitchen fell silent. A heavy, tense silence. The kind that fills the whole room like fog. My son stared at me as if he had never seen me before. My daughter-in-law stood with her arms crossed, lips tight, eyes sharp like glass. But inside me, something new started to rise. Not anger. Not hate. Not fear. It was something stronger. Awareness. Clarity. A small voice saying, "You still matter." I realized that if I stayed silent, they would push me out of my life. If I trusted them again, I would lose everything. If I let them decide, I would fade away like a forgotten memory. No. Not this time. I stood up from the chair slowly. My legs shook, but my heart stood firm. My friend, let me tell you the truth behind my choice. I made my decision because I worked all my life for that home. I planted flowers in that soil. I raised my son in those rooms. I saved every dollar with my own tired hands. I survived pain, storms, and long nights for years. Why should I surrender my whole life to someone who sees me as a burden? Why should I step aside so they can enjoy everything I built? Why should I accept a future someone else decided for me? This was my why. My reason for standing up. My reason for fighting gently with my voice. This is the lesson I want to give you, my friend. Do not let anyone turn your love into weakness. Do not let anyone take your kindness for granted. Do not let anyone decide your worth. Your life belongs to you. Your future belongs to you. Your dignity belongs to you. Never hand them away. I looked my son straight in the eyes. His face was tight. His mouth hard. His eyes full of something I did not recognize anymore. But I did not look away. I said in a calm voice, I need to speak to someone outside this house. He frowned. My daughter-in-law's eyes widened. And then I added, today, not tomorrow. She stepped closer and said sharply, why, what are you planning? But I did not answer her, because the moment she asked that question, I knew she was afraid. Afraid of losing control. Afraid that I was not as weak as she hoped. My friend, sometimes silence is the strongest answer you can give. I turned around and walked toward my bedroom. My feet felt heavy, but my heart felt steady. Each step was a step toward freedom. Each breath was a breath toward courage. Each moment was a moment of awakening. They whispered behind me. I could hear their nervous voices. I could feel their tension filling the air. But I kept walking. Inside my room, I closed the door gently. Not loudly. Not in anger. Just firm enough for them to know I was setting a boundary. For the first time in months, I felt like I had a small piece of myself back. My dear friend, this part is important. I sat on my bed, my hands shaking, my heart racing, but I picked up my small old phone, and I called someone unexpected, someone outside the house, someone with a calm voice, someone who gave me a piece of hope I had not felt in a long time. Their answer changed everything. Their words opened a door I did not know I still had. Their advice gave me the first real protection I had in months. I cannot tell you their name yet, but you will meet them in the next chapter. And when you do, you will understand why they became so important to me. Just as I ended the call, there was a knock on my door. Not a gentle knock. A sharp, impatient one. She said through the door, who were you talking to? There it was. Her fear. Her control slipping. Her plan shaking. I did not open the door. I simply said, someone who cares about me. The silence on the other side told me everything. She was scared. Because she knew. I was no longer playing her game. I heard them whispering again. I heard my son say, she is acting strange. I heard her reply, we need to handle her before she does something. Before I do something. Imagine that. I sat on my bed and closed my eyes. But instead of fear, I felt something like strength. Because I did do something. And they did not know it yet. My life was no longer fully in their hands. The paper they tried to force on me was no longer my future. Something had shifted. A storm was coming, yes. But this time, I was not the one who would be blown away. My dear friend, the person I called, arrived the very next day. And when they walked through the door, my daughter-in-law froze. My son looked shocked. The whole house felt like it stopped breathing. Because that person knew the law, knew my rights, knew their mistake, knew exactly how to help me. And that was the moment. The balance began to change. I woke up early. The house was quiet, but it was not a peaceful quiet. It was the kind of quiet where you know someone is waiting, watching, thinking. I sat on the edge of my bed and took a deep breath. My hands shook a little. My heart fluttered like a small bird. Because I knew someone was coming. And I knew that this single visit could change everything. My friend, have you ever waited for something that could save you? That is what it felt like. At exactly 10 in the morning. It happened. A firm knock. Not soft. Not uncertain. A knock with confidence. I heard my daughter-in-law's footsteps rushing to the door. I heard her voice try to sound polite. I heard my son whisper something behind her. And then, I heard the door open. And the room fell silent. Completely silent. Standing in the doorway was Marlon Avery. A tall older man with storm gray hair and a calm face. A man with gentle eyes but a sharp mind. A man who worked for Elder Safety Services, a small local support group in our county. He was the person I called in Chapter 4. He was the voice who said, "You are not alone. You have rights. You deserve respect. I will come." My friend, the moment I saw him, I felt something warm in my chest. A feeling I had not felt in a long time. Protection. My daughter-in-law's smile was tight, too tight. Her eyes darted from him to me, to the paper still lying on the kitchen counter. She tried to sound sweet, but sweetness without sincerity tastes bitter. She said, "Can we help you with something?" Marlon did not smile back. He said in a calm, steady voice, "I am here to speak with her." Then he looked past her, directly at me. His eyes told me, "You are safe, I am here." And my friend, that alone made my breath soften. My son stepped forward, his face pale, his hands stiff. He asked, "Why are you here? Who called you?" But Marlon did not answer him, because the answer was not his to demand. Instead, Marlon said, "She reached out for support, and I am here to make sure she is heard and protected." He spoke those words like a shield being placed in front of me. My son blinked. My daughter-in-law's lips pressed into a thin line. The power in the house shifted. Just a little, but enough for them to feel it. Marlon and I sat in the living room. My hands were cold, but he sat close enough that I felt calmer. He looked at me gently and asked, "Are you safe here? Are you being pressured? Are decisions being made without you? Do you feel respected?" My friend, I tried to speak, but my voice cracked. I looked down at my lap, and tears slid down my cheeks before I could stop them. But he did not rush me. He let me breathe. He let me cry. He let me find my voice again. When I finally spoke, my voice was small but clear. I said, "They want me out of my own home. They filled forms without asking me. They want to send me away." Marlon nodded, as if he had heard these stories before. as if he already knew the pain behind my words. He placed a soft hand on mine and said, "You did the right thing by calling me. My friend, let me tell you why this moment mattered so much. It mattered because I realized something important. You are never too old to speak up. You are never too old to ask for help. You are never too old to protect your life. You are never too old to say, 'This is not right.'" I had forgotten that, but Marlon reminded me. My daughter-in-law entered the room. Without knocking, she said loudly, "This is a family matter. She is confused. She does not understand what is best." Marlon stood up. He looked her straight in the eyes. No fear. No anger. Just firm truth. He said, "She understands perfectly. And legally, you cannot force her into any retirement home. Not without her consent. Not without a court review. Not without evidence of risk. And certainly not while she is fully capable of making her own decisions." My friend, her face drained of color. She looked like someone who just saw her plans slip through her fingers. Then my son spoke, his voice shaky. "Mom, we thought it was best." But it did not sound like concern. It sounded like fear. Fear of getting caught. Fear of losing control. Fear of being exposed. I looked at him and said softly, "Best for who?" He did not answer, because the answer was written all over his face. Marlon stepped closer to me, as if guiding me back into my own life. He said, "You have options, and I will help you understand every one of them." For the first time in months, I felt steady. I felt strong. I felt supported. I was not fighting alone. And my friend, when someone stands beside you, even one person, it changes everything. As Marlon turned to leave, he handed me a small envelope. He whispered, "Read this when you are alone. It will help you decide your next step." My friend, that envelope held a truth I was not ready to face. A truth about my son. A truth about my daughter-in-law. A truth about what they had already done behind my back. When Marlon left the house, my daughter-in-law slammed the door behind him, so hard the picture frames rattled on the wall. She looked at me like I had betrayed her. Imagine that. My son avoided my eyes completely. He stood stiff, like a child caught stealing cookies. But this was much worse. And he knew it. "Mom, we should talk," he whispered. But my friend, I did not have the strength to talk to anyone right then. Not to him. Not to her. Not to anyone. Because the envelope in my hand felt heavy. Too heavy. Like it carried the weight of a truth I wasn't ready to face. I went to my bedroom. I closed the door quietly. And for the first time in a long time, I locked it. My hands trembled as I sat on the edge of the bed. The envelope lay on my lap, and the sound of my heartbeat filled the room. My friend, have you ever held something so small, yet felt like it could destroy your world? That was how it felt. Slowly, carefully, I opened it. Inside, there were 2 papers. Just 2. But those 2 papers were enough to shatter the last pieces of trust I had left. It was a copy of a transfer consent form. A form I never saw. A form I never signed. A form with my name printed at the top. But the signature at the bottom wasn't mine. My breath caught. My hand covered my mouth. My friend. They had forged my signature. My own son. My own daughter-in-law. Taking my property. My home. My life decisions. By pretending I agreed. My chest felt tight. My eyes burned. My hands shook so hard I almost dropped the paper. My friend. The betrayal was so deep. I felt it in my bones. The second paper was worse. It was a printed email conversation between my daughter-in-law and a retirement home director. I read it with blurry eyes. Her message said, "Once the transfer is complete, we will move her in immediately. We don't want her to have any chance to change her mind. My husband and I need the house to ourselves before the baby comes. Before the baby comes. Before their baby comes." They were planning to throw me away so they could turn my home into a nursery. The home I built. The home I paid for. The home where I raised my son. The home filled with my memories. My life. My friend. I felt something inside me crack. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a soft, painful break. Like an old branch snapping in the winter cold. It wasn't the forged signature. It wasn't the secret emails. It wasn't the plan to send me away. It was the sentence. We don't want her to have any chance to change her mind. They didn't want my voice. They didn't want my feelings. They didn't want me. They wanted the house. Nothing more. My dear friend, the moment I read that, I felt the deepest pain a mother can feel. Not because they needed space. Not because they were having a baby. But because they didn't even love me enough to talk to me like a human being. They planned to get rid of me, like an old piece of furniture. I cried. I cried like a child. Quiet at first, then harder, with my hands pressed over my mouth so they couldn't hear. It wasn't just sadness. It was grief. Grief for the son I thought I knew. Grief for the future I thought I had. Grief for the trust I gave so freely. My tears fell onto the papers, smudging the ink. And then, through my tears, I noticed something written in small handwriting. At the bottom of the envelope, a note from Marlon. It said, "You are stronger than you think, and you are not done yet. Call me when you are ready." My friend, that note was the tiny spark of light inside the darkest room. I wiped my tears. My breathing steadied, and a calmness settled over me. Not anger. Not fear. Something stronger. A quiet, steady strength. I folded the two papers. I placed them back in the envelope. And I whispered to myself, "It is time to fight for myself." Because they had taken enough. They had lied enough. They had crossed the line. And now, I was no longer the weak woman they thought they could push aside. Something shocking happens. Something that turns the house upside down. Something that exposes everything. In front of the whole family. All because someone unexpected shows up at the door. And they know the truth. Something shocking happens. Something that turns the house upside down. Something that exposes everything. In front of the whole family. All because someone unexpected shows up at the door. And they know the truth. The sun came up early that day. But it did not warm the house. The walls felt cold. The air felt thin. The rooms felt heavy. With secrets and fear. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that forged signature. I saw that email. I saw the words. Move her in immediately. My friend. I woke up with a new kind of strength, but also a new kind of heartbreak. I sat at the edge of my bed and whispered to myself, today something is going to happen. And I was right. I was still holding the envelope when I heard it. A knock. Not soft. Not gentle. Not nervous. A firm, steady knock. That carried purpose. My friend. The moment I heard that sound, my heart froze. My son and daughter-in-law were in the living room. I heard their voices stop. I heard a chair slide. I heard footsteps. Then another knock. Louder. Clearer. Commanding. My dear friend. I walked out of my bedroom slowly. My hands were still shaking, but my steps were steady. My son opened the door, and standing there was someone none of us expected. It was my older sister's daughter. Her name was Rowena Hale, a woman with strong shoulders, a sharp mind, and eyes that see through everything. She lived in Texas now, far away from our small town. I hadn't seen her in years, but she stood there, with a serious look on her face, and a folder in her hand. My son swallowed hard. My daughter-in-law stepped back. Hello, Rowena said, in a voice that filled the room. Is she home? I stepped forward. I'm here, I said softly. Rowena's eyes softened when she saw me. But when she looked at my son and his wife, her eyes turned sharp as a knife. My son tried to smile. A fake smile. A nervous smile. Oh, Rowena, we weren't expecting. She raised one hand to stop him from finishing. I spoke to Marlon, she said. My friend. The silence in that room was so deep. You could hear a heartbeat. And, she continued, he showed me the papers. My daughter-in-law's face drained of color. My son's jaw went tight. Rowena held up the folder. These, she said, are copies of everything he found. My dear friend, you should have seen their faces. Shock, fear, guilt, and something else too. Something darker. Something angry. Because they knew. Their secret was no longer a secret. Rowena stepped into the house. Like she owned the floor she walked on. She turned to my son and asked, in a calm, steady voice, why did you forge your mother's signature? My friend. That question stopped the world. My son's mouth fell open. My daughter-in-law grabbed his arm. They both started talking at the same time. It wasn't like that. She agreed at first. You don't understand. She's confused. It was for the baby. She can't live here forever. Excuses. 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 Rowena raised her voice, just enough to cut through the noise. And why were you planning to send her away without her knowledge? Silence. Complete silence. Not even the refrigerator hummed. My friend. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. He wasn't the little boy I raised. He wasn't the man I thought he was. He looked cornered, exposed, and ashamed. But he also looked angry, like he blamed me for the truth coming out. I looked at my daughter-in-law. Her lips were tight. Her eyes were cold. Her hands were shaking. Not from guilt, from losing control. I realized in that moment that she had been the force behind everything. The pressure, the plans, the lies. But my son, he let it happen. And that hurt more than anything. Rowena turned to me. Her voice softened. "Aunt," she said, "you are not alone anymore." My breath caught. My eyes filled. I felt my heart break and heal. All at once, she put her hand on my shoulder. "You deserve safety. You deserve respect. You deserve your home." My friend, no one had spoken to me like that in a very long time. Then Rowena said something that shook the whole house. She looked at my son and daughter-in-law and said, "I hope you understand that what you did is illegal." Illegal. The word hung in the air. Like thunder. My daughter-in-law stepped back. My son's face went pale. Rowena opened her folder and pulled out one sheet. "This," she said, "is a report number. A very important one. And I came to tell her," she pointed at me, "that she has options." My son whispered, "Mom, please, don't do anything crazy." I looked at him slowly, and with a calm voice I said, "The only crazy thing was trusting you this much. My dear friend, this is only the first spark before the fire." Because what Rowena suggested next, in front of all of us, changed my life. She said, "Pack a bag. You're coming with me." My son shouted. My daughter-in-law cried. The house erupted. But my decision was already made. Rowena stood beside me. Strong, calm, certain. The kind of presence that tells you everything will be okay. She looked at me and asked, "Are you ready?" I took a deep breath. I thought of the house. The rooms filled with memories. The garden I planted. The laughter and tears I shared with my son as he grew. But I also thought of the forged signature. The emails. The betrayal. The words, "We don't want her to have any chance to change her mind." And I whispered softly, "Yes, I'm ready." I went to my bedroom slowly. Every item I packed felt heavy with memory. A small photo album of my son's childhood. My favorite quilt, stitched by my mother. A few pieces of jewelry, nothing fancy, just pieces that carried meaning. Rowena did not rush me. She let me choose what mattered most. She let me make decisions, like I had always wanted to do. And for the first time in months, I felt power, and not fear. I walked into the living room with my bag. My son tried to stop me. "Mom, wait, we can fix this." But I stopped him with a calm hand gesture. "No," I said gently. "You let this happen. You let her plan my life without asking me. I trusted you, and you chose her over me. Now I choose myself." My daughter-in-law's face twisted with anger. She screamed, "You're leaving. This is my house now." I smiled softly. "I am leaving my past, not my dignity. I am taking myself with me. And nothing you did can stop that." Rowena helped me into her car. As we drove away, I looked back at the house. The sun glinted off the windows. The garden looked quiet. The rooms looked still. But I was not looking back with sadness. I was looking back with clarity. I realized something very important. Home is not a place. Home is safety. Home is respect. Home is where you are valued. And for the first time, I felt like I was going home. My friend, why did I leave? Not because I was running. Not because I was afraid. I left because staying meant losing myself. I left because I deserved more. I left because I finally remembered. I am not defined by the betrayal of others. I am defined by the strength I find within myself. And this is why you must always fight for your dignity. Because once you lose that, everything else becomes meaningless. We arrived at a small, cozy apartment Rowena had arranged for me. Nothing fancy, but safe. Clean, quiet, peaceful. I unpacked slowly. I placed my quilt over the sofa. I put the photo album on a table near the window. I made a cup of tea and sat down. For the first time in months, I felt peace. Not complete. Not perfect. But enough to breathe. My friend, listen carefully. Leaving is not weakness. Walking away is not failure. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is to step away from people who do not respect you. And sometimes, it is the first step toward rebuilding your life and finding your own happiness again. I understood. I had been living in their world, but now I was stepping into my own. But my friend, the story does not end there. Because while I was discovering my new life, my son and daughter-in-law were plotting again, and they did not know that I had allies, legal rights, and a plan I had not even begun to reveal. The morning after I settled into my new place, I called Marlon Avery. His voice was calm and confident, like a warm shield around me. "I'm ready," I said. "Tell me what to do." He reminded me. "You have rights. You have evidence. And you have time. We will not rush. We will move smartly." My friend, just hearing that made my chest feel lighter. It felt like stepping into sunlight after months of rain. Marlon suggested 3 steps. Document everything, the forged papers, the emails, and all the evidence of manipulation. Legal protection, notifying local authorities, and getting an official record of elder abuse attempts. Boundary enforcement, making sure my son and daughter-in-law could no longer threaten or control me. I listened carefully. For the first time in months, I felt like I was steering my own life again. Rowena returned to my side. She told me, "You don't need to yell, cry, or fight. The truth is on our side. They will reveal themselves if you stay calm and firm." I nodded. I realized she was right. And my friend. That evening, I walked back into the house for the first time since leaving. I did not go to confront them. I went to reclaim my home. With calm steps and steady eyes. With evidence in hand. And courage in my heart. My son froze when he saw me. My daughter-in-law's face turned pale. I laid the envelope on the table. I opened it. I placed the forged signature and email copies in front of them. "You thought I didn't see," I said. "But I did. You thought I would be silent. But I am not. This is the truth. And I am reclaiming my life." My friend. The look on their faces was priceless. Shock. Fear. Realization. For the first time in months, they were the ones feeling powerless. With Marlon's guidance, I contacted the authorities. They took my case seriously. They reviewed the forged papers and the emails. And they told me, "You have every right to stay in your home. And you have evidence of attempted elder abuse. We will make sure your rights are protected." My son and daughter-in-law could no longer manipulate me. No more lies. No more secret plans. My friend, do you understand what that feels like? Like breathing after being underwater. Like the sun finally warming your frozen bones. You are never too old to protect yourself. You are never too small to fight for your life. Truth is the strongest weapon you can wield. I did not yell. I did not shame them publicly. I did not seek revenge. I used wisdom, evidence, and calm strength. And in doing so, I regained my dignity, my home, my peace of mind, my sense of self. I looked at my son. His face was full of regret. And I realized something important. Even though he failed me, I could forgive, not for them, but for my own peace. I looked at my daughter-in-law. Her anger faded into helplessness. And I realized something else. Power is not taken with cruelty. It is earned with patience, truth, and courage. And my friend, I finally felt free. Freedom does not only mean winning over others. It also means starting over. I woke up in my small, cozy apartment. The sunlight poured through the window. I sipped tea from my favorite cup. I looked around and realized something. I was safe. I was home. And no one could take that away from me. My friend, it felt strange at first. The silence was different than the house I left. It was gentle. It was comforting. It was mine. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. I want you to hear this carefully, my friend. 1. Trust but protect yourself. Love is important, but love without boundaries can leave you vulnerable. 2. Courage is calm. You do not need to yell or fight to reclaim your life. Truth, patience, and calm strength are more powerful. 3. Family can fail you. Sometimes the people you love most will betray you. It hurts, it breaks your heart. But you can survive and rise again. 4. Forgive for yourself, not them. I forgave my son, not because he deserved it, but because holding on to anger would only harm me. 5. Your life is yours. No one has the right to write your story without your consent. With Marlon and Rowena's support, I secured my house. I made sure no one could interfere again. But my life was not just about protecting property. It was about rebuilding myself. I started small, taking walks in the morning sunlight, calling old friends and reconnecting, cooking meals just for me, learning small hobbies I had never had time for. Each small step reminded me that my life was still mine. Each day brought me more peace. Each moment healed my heart a little more. Months passed, and slowly joy returned. I laughed again, genuinely. I shared stories with friends. I planted flowers outside my apartment window. I even started writing letters to other women who might be trapped in homes where they were not respected. My life became a testament to resilience, to the fact that even after betrayal, you can rise, you can rebuild, you can thrive. My friend, if there is one thing I want you to remember from this story, strength is not measured by how much you can endure silently. Strength is measured by how you reclaim your life, by how you speak, act, and protect yourself, by how you find peace after the storm. I chose to live. I chose to forgive. I chose to rebuild. And in doing so, I discovered a truth that no betrayal can take away. Your life is precious. Your voice matters. And your peace is priceless. I am stronger now. Wiser now. and I am free. I look at the sunrise every morning and smile. I call my sister often. I visit my friends. I enjoy my home. And most importantly, I am proud of myself. My dear friend, this story is not just mine. It is for anyone who has felt powerless, betrayed, or unheard. You can reclaim your life too. You can find your strength. You can build joy again. You can rise from heartbreak and live with peace and dignity. If you read my story, please take these lessons with you. Protect yourself and your rights. Trust, but do not blind yourself. Speak up when needed. Forgive for your own peace. Rebuild your life with courage. And my friend, if this story touched your heart, share it with others. Comment with your thoughts. Tell me which lesson meant the most to you. Because life is about learning, growing, and helping each other rise. And this is how I found my peace.